The Jedi have been a staple signature in the Star Wars universe. There are many different kinds of Jedi, and none of them look alike. But who are the most powerful Jedi in the galaxy? Now this ranking is based on my opinion, so if you have a different idea as to who should be on this list, then that's totally fine. Let me know in the comments down below who you think is a powerful Jedi. Also, really quick, if you can be so kind, hit that subscribe and like button, it would be much appreciated and helps push these videos to more Star Wars fans. First up at number 10 is Nobi Sunrider. Nobi Sunrider was a human female who served as Jedi Master and later Grand Master of the Jedi Order in the days of the Galactic Republic. Born Nomi Debota, she married Andor Sunrider, who was trained to become a Jedi Knight and eventually gave birth to a baby girl, whom they named Vima. During a trip to the Senate system, Andor was ambushed by gang members of Boga the Hutt, who were after the Anakin crystals carried by Sunrider and her husband. The ensuing fight witnessed the murder of Andor and Sunrider's decision to begin down the path to become a Jedi Knight. Sunrider eventually completed her training under the Jedi Master Thrawn, and was placed in charge of the Jedi relief mission sent to Onderon to aid Ulic Qel-Droma in the Freedom Nod Uprising. Along with several other Jedi, Sunrider helped Qel-Droma bring about an end to the Natus Revolt, essentially putting an end to the reign of Sith on Onderon. Following those events, Sunrider was one of the many Jedi to participate in the Great Sith War against the rise of Exar Kun and his apprentice, the fallen Jedi Ulic Qel-Droma. During the war, Sunrider witnessed Qel-Droma slay his own brother Kay, and guided by her intense emotions, used the Force to permanently sever Qel-Droma from the Force. With Sunrider's defeat of Qel-Droma, the Sith War was soon brought to an end. Following the devastation of the Great Sith War, Sunrider steadily climbed the ranks of the Jedi and eventually made Grand Master of the Jedi Order, around the time of the Conclave on Exus Station, a conclave for which Sunrider had assembled so the Jedi could discuss the rebuilding of the Order following the end of the war. Years after her death, her legacy was preserved in the histories of the Jedi, and her stories were retold down through the centuries. Next at number 9 is Bastila Shan. Bastila Shan was a human female member of the Jedi Order during the Jedi Civil War. Born on the planet Telravan to Helena Shan and a treasure hunter, her mother gave her up to the Jedi Order, believing that her lifestyle of travel and exertions were not suitable for her daughter. Shan was found to have an exceptional gift with the Force power known as battle meditation, which increased her allies' morale while demoralizing her enemies. Shan sided with the Jedi Council when the Jedi Knights Revan and Malak rebelled against the Council and joined the Galactic Republic in the war against the invading Mandalorian Neo-Crusaders. Shan had a very strong Force connection, and could sense disturbances in the Force such as Darth Malak's presence, although this might have been merely telepathy or an extension of her Force bond with Revan. She could also use Force Stun, and was capable of using the Jedi mind trick on Hutts, such as Moda. During her short time as a Sith apprentice, she was capable of using Force powers such as Force Insanity, Choke, Wave, Lightning, Plague, Force Breach, Drain Life, and Force Stasis Field. From her point of view, she was more powerful than all but a few Jedi Masters, Malak and of course Revan himself. Additionally, Shan was a skilled lightsaber duelist and wielded a dual-bladed lightsaber in combat. She proved capable of dueling the redeemed Revan, Jolee Bindo, and the Juhani on top of the Temple of Ancients and emerging relatively unscathed of light defeat. Shan also managed to hold her ground against Darth Malak long enough for Revan and Karth Onasi to escape. It should be noted that Malak was considered to be one of the greatest swordsmen of his time. At number 8 is Anakin Skywalker. Now before you dislike this video, here's why he's in the number 8 spot. Now this ranking is based on power, and don't get me wrong, Anakin is a very powerful Jedi, but he wasn't at his full potential. He was still young and learning his abilities, but he was merely just scratching the surface. When he fell to the dark side, he gained new powers, but he was only about 80% potential when he fought Obi-Wan, and that's why he lost the fight. But we're talking about light side users, and Anakin gained his new powers after he turned, so those don't count. Now if there was a different scenario when we saw light side Anakin at full potential, then he would probably be number 1 on this list. But what we've gotten and seen, he takes the number 8 spot for now. Coming in at number 7 is ObiWan Kenobi. ObiWan Kenobi was a legendary human male Jedi Master who served on the Jedi High Council during the last years of the Republic era. During the Imperial era, he adopted the alias Ben Kenobi in order to hide from the regime that drove the Jedi to near extinction. A nobleman known for his skills with the Force, Kenobi trained Anakin Skywalker, served as Jedi General in the Grand Army of the Republic, and became mentor to Luke Skywalker prior to his death in 0 BBY. Kenobi was a very capable lightsaber duelist, one of the greatest swordsmen of his time. Throughout his training years, he learned several forms of lightsaber combat, especially Form 3. In contrast to an aggressive dueling style of his master Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice Anakin Skywalker, Kenobi's combat style was mainly defensive, though he would use aggressive attacks when pressed. He faced some of the most dangerous people in the galaxy, such as the deadly Sith Lord Darth Maul and the infamous Jedi Hunter General Grievous, respectively, the latter of whom he fought on at least 7 occasions. Though he lost in the Cyborg to 3 of those encounters, the 1st, 5th, and the 6th, he was able to survive every time without any serious injuries. Kenobi also situationally and somewhat less successfully used Dark Eye against General Grievous and Cad Bane respectively. He also was capable of using his lightsaber to ground force lightning, as he demonstrated against Dooku on Geonosis. Kenobi was also able to defeat his former apprentice Anakin Skywalker, then Darth Vader, in an epic duel on Mustafar. Making use of his staunch Form 3 defense throughout the fight, Kenobi was eventually able to exploit Vader's aggressive nature and dismember the hate-filled Sith Lord when he recklessly jumped towards him. Decades later, he defeated his old nemesis Maul within seconds despite the former Sith Lord having demonstrated the ability to hold an advantage against 3 Inquisitors simultaneously, and duel his former master Darth Sidious for a short time. Though Kenobi focused largely on lightsaber combat, he was also very skilled and powerful in the use of the Force. He was trained in the use of mind tricks, making use of whenever he wanted to avoid physical confrontations. He was also able to use Force Tame, Control, and lead a group of angry gut curs on Ryloth. As benefited as a Jedi, Kenobi was adept to concealing his feelings of the Force when he chose to. He was also capable of using telekinesis to push or levitate objects, or crush them, as we see when he destroyed 2 commando droids to recover his lightsaber after a difficult hand-to-hand fight with Darth Dinar. He would also use the Force to augment his natural leaping ability. His ability to use the Force push technique was exceptional. He was able to use it to blast back General Grievous dozens of meters with a single push during their duel. A short time later, he was even able to hold off a Force blast from Anakin Skywalker during their duel, though after a short time of resulting telekinetic struggle, launched both of them across the room. Prior to his exile on Tatooine, Yoda instructed him on how to communicate with his late master Qui-Gon Jinn, who was unable to visibly manifest as a spirit due to his incomplete training under the Force priestesses. Through Jinn, Kenobi eventually learned the ability to manifest his consciousness after death, a skill he would later put to good use guiding the counsel of his apprentice Luke Skywalker during the Galactic Civil War. Next, number 6 is Jacen Solo. The son of Han and Leia Organa Solo, Jacen Solo was the leading Jedi Knight who proved crucial in defeating the Yuzong Vong and protecting the galaxy during the Yuzong Vong War. The grandson of Darth Vader, Darth Caedus was a Sith Lord who turned against his family and friends, betraying his former principles, and leading the Galactic Alliance. He once championed into a reign of terror as he attempted to bring order and stability to the fractured galaxy. It was Solo's desire to protect the galaxy and his increasing willingness to accept any cost in that cause that facilitated his fall to the Sith. Born in 9 ABY, Jacen Solo spent most of his early years as a target of various kidnapping plots and schemes against his famous parents. When he was 13, he and his twin sister Jaina began attending the Jedi Praxium in Yavin 4, where their uncle Luke Skywalker taught them the ways of the Force. There, he made several friends, among them the Hapan princess Tenel Kajo, to whom he became strongly attracted. While training, he and his friends defeated numerous plots against the New Republic, and in 24 ABY, he and his younger brother Anakin were apprenticed to Skywalker. A philosopher who struggled with the idea of employing violence to fight violence, Solo entered a personal crisis with the outbreak of the Yuzong Vong War. He preferred to serve on the front lines, but felt obligated to volunteer for the strike team assembled to eliminate the Voxan Queen and Micah. There, Anakin Solo was killed, and Jacen Solo stepped up to lead the team, killing the Queen and ending the Voxan threat before he was captured by the Yuzong Vong. Solo spent nearly a year in captivity, during which he was tortured for weeks at a time. Solo struggled with his circumstances and with the teachings of his captor mentor, Vergari. He slipped to the dark side before returning, embracing the idea of responding to the universe with unconditional, all-encompassing love. He escaped Yuzong Vong custody with Vergari, a former Jedi of the Old Republic, and rejoined the war effort. In the final battle of the war, Solo stormed Supreme Overlord Shimra Jaman's citadel before defeating Anami, who was mentally controlling the Supreme Overlord, while Solo himself experienced a moment of unity with the Force. Afterward, he spent 5 years visiting and learning from various Force-using sects. During this time with the Mind Walkers, he experienced a vision of a dark user ruling the galaxy and becoming determined to prevent its fulfillment. He returned to the Jedi during the Dark Nest Crisis, and armed with more ruthless philosophy of accepting various sacrifices in the name of greater good, conspired to eliminate the Killiks to prevent another vision of the Galactic War to protect infant daughter Lana, secretly conceived with Tenel Kajo. In 40 ABY, Solo agreed to become the Sith apprentice of Lumia, after probing the future and finding that if he did not do so, he would kill Luke Skywalker and the galaxy would be consumed by chaos. He embarked on a year-long descent into the dark side, slowly turning against his Jedi and his family as he grew darker and more extreme. After seizing control of the Galactic Alliance, killing Mara Jade Skywalker, torturing his former apprentice Ben Skywalker, committing multiple atrocities, and ascending to Sith mastery as Darth Caedus, he was finally killed by his twin sister Jaina. At number 5 is Yoda. Yoda, a Force-sensitive male being belonging to a mysterious species, was a legendary Jedi Master who witnessed the rise and fall of the Galactic Republic, following by the rise of the Galactic Empire. Small in stature but revered for his wisdom and power, Yoda trained generations of Jedi, ultimately serving as Grand Master of the Jedi Order. Having lived through 9 centuries of galactic history, he played integral roles of the Clone Wars, the rebirth of the Jedi through Luke Skywalker, and unlocking the path to immortality. Despite his small size and old age, Yoda was an extremely accomplished lightsaber duelist wielding a short green-bladed lightsaber. Yoda was extremely skilled in blast deflection, and proved more than capable of taking on multiple enemies at the same time and winning easily. He was able to single-handedly defeat without getting even a single shot on his person an entire army of battle droids that Ventress sent on a test at King Katanka whether to accept the Jedi or the Separatists as an ally. The greatest display of Yoda's skill with the lightsaber is when he dueled Sith Lords Count Dooku and Darth Sidious. When he fought Dooku, Yoda maintained the upper hand throughout the duel, forcing Dooku into the defensive, and would have defeated him if he had not decided to flee. His duel with Sidious, although initially well matched, eventually began to turn into Yoda's favor, forcing Sidious to use the Force to confront him. His small size and old age notwithstanding, Yoda was extremely powerful and accomplished in the Force. Yoda was extremely skilled in telekinesis in all forms of it. When facing Dooku on the planet Geonosis, Yoda demonstrated his superior telekinetic mastery by effortlessly repelling every metal and stone slab thrown by the Sith Lord. He was even able to blast Sidious himself through the air with Force Push, and was able to stop and redirect a Senate hoverpod Sidious had thrown at him when they fought in the Senate building. In order to teach Luke Skywalker that anything was possible with the Force, Yoda levitated his student's sunken T-65B X-Wing starfighter out of the swamp of Dagobah and onto dry land with no visible strain. Yoda could also stop strikes from giants of living stones. In his duel with both Sith Lords Darth Tyrannus and Darth Sidious, Yoda displayed a great proficiency in Force deflection, as he was able to easily stop and redirect Dooku's Force lightning attack with his bare hands, and even managed to stop Sidious's Force lightning attacks using just his palms, but was unable to deflect it completely. The energy eventually exploded and flung both combatants away from each other, ending the duel in a stalemate and causing Yoda to escape. His ability to use the combative applications of the Force notwithstanding, Yoda's incredible strong connection to the Force combined with his years of extensive study also granted him numerous supplementary abilities. During the trial of Quinlan Vos, Yoda revealed that he could uncover the ailment of the Force user just by touching them, saying that the Force had permitted him to read the history of the soul, able to easily sense that he had fallen to the dark side despite Vos being proficient enough to hide it from many other Jedi. While physically isolated on Dagobah, Yoda was able to see other Jedi active in the Force. He could not, however, see ones that were forsaken in the Jedi ways. He could keep mental contact with the Jedi temples across the galaxy, and could telepathically converse with any Jedi within them. He was also able to fully master the skill maintaining consciousness after death, something that Qui-Gon Jinn was unable to do, allowing him to manifest a visible presence rather than a simple disembodied voice. Yoda was also known to be capable of experiencing Force visions. However, he understood that the Force prophecy was not absolute and that the future was always in motion. His visions led him to foresee the fall of the Jedi in the Clone Wars, and even his own death. As a Force spirit, Yoda was evidently capable of either manipulating weather to create lightning strikes, or summoning such strikes himself. He was also shown capable of striking Luke Skywalker with his walking stick, demonstrating the ability to interact with the living world in a physical sense. Coming in number 4 is Mace Windu. Mace Windu was a revered human male Jedi Master and member of the Jedi High Council during the last years of the Galactic Republic. During his time in the Jedi Order, he once served as elected leader of the Jedi, and during the Clone Wars as Jedi General in the Grand Army of the Republic. He was the greatest champion of the Jedi Order and promoted his ancient traditions amidst the growing influence of the dark side of the Force in the corrupt, declining days of the Republic. Mace Windu was a highly accomplished and powerful Jedi Master who possessed advanced skills in both lightsaber combat and Force abilities. His abilities included Force-enhanced reflexes and agility, as well as superior lightsaber combat skills and the ability to see the future. He was a notable practitioner of Form 7, also known as Juyo or Vapod, and Windu was the only known master of the form that did not fall to the dark side. It was the 7th form of lightsaber combat and considered the most unpredictable or aggressive form. In the case of the later, Windu not only survived Sidious' initial assault, which resulted in the deaths of 3 Jedi Masters, but ultimately prevailed against the Sith in the fight itself. Following an intense but relatively short duel between the Dark Lord and the Jedi Order's champion, Windu disarmed and cornered the seamlessly defeated Sidious. As a Force user, Windu was proficient in various forms of the telekinesis, which he could utilize as both attacks and defenses. He was capable of easily summoning his lightsaber and has demonstrated on Geonosis as he quickly reclaimed his Jedi weapon by the weight of the Force before Fett could prevent this. On Ryloth, he uses the Force to telekinetically pull battle droids in his direction, rendering them vulnerable to a fatal lightsaber attack. He also is powerful enough to levitate individuals such as 2 clone troopers whose lives he saved by using the Force to prevent them from falling to their deaths. In addition to offensive and defensive applications of the Force, Windu could use his connection to the Force to enhance his physical capabilities, allowing him to engage in acrobatics and land jumps from high places without sustaining injuries. Windu's abilities with the Force extended to mind control, a Jedi technique that allowed the user to exert a considerable amount of influence over weak-minded individuals, against a person of greater willpower than the average being. However, Windu was forced to combine his effort with Skywalker and Kenobi in order to force Cad Bane's cooperation. Although the initial attempt failed, their combined use of the mind trick technique caused Bane to experience significant discomfort, which nearly damaged his mind in the process. Windu is also versed in hand-to-hand combat, as he was able to easily dispatch and incapacitate multiple Gamorreans unarmed in his youth. Next at number 3 is Galen Merrick. Galen Merrick, codenamed Starkiller, was a Force-sensitive human male taken on by the Sith Lord Darth Vader as a secret apprentice and personal assassin during the reign of the Galactic Empire. The son of 2 Jedi Knights Kento and Mali Merrick, Galen was born to the Wookiees' homeworld planet Kashyyyk in the aftermath of the Clone Wars. Following his mother's death, Kashyyyk was invaded by the Imperial military. As a target of the Great Jedi Purge, Kento was confronted and slain in the lightsaber duel by Darth Vader, who discovered the fugitive Jedi's son in the process. Gogging the orphan's raw strength of the Force, Vader abducted and ultimately raised Galen to embrace the dark side of the Force. Merrick was versed enough with all 7 forms of lightsaber combat to quickly recognize them in his opponent's style and technique and use their weaknesses to his advantage. He particularly specialized in Juyo, Shen, and Soresu. He also had decent skills in Nimin, showing great skill in combining the Force attacks with his combat style, as well as Ataru, applying the aspects of the form into his combat style. Even as a child, Galen Merrick was already exceptionally powerful with the Force, with immense potential that would allow him to become one of the most powerful Force users of his time. His power proved great enough to impress Vader enough that he risked sparing him to mold him into an apprentice, believing that he had the potential to, alongside Vader when at the height of his abilities, defeat Darth Sidious, who was considered the most powerful Dark Sith Lord in history. Even Sidious himself acknowledged that Merrick's strength in the Force could rival his own. Merrick's skills with telekinesis were considerable. He often cleared entire hallways and rooms with powerful Force pushes and repulses, and even caught TIE fighters in mid-flight. Even as a child, he was skilled enough that he managed to disarm Vader of his lightsaber without even knowing, impressing the Dark Lord visibly. Proficient at telekinetic lightsaber combat, he would often direct his lightsaber to seek out specific enemies and impale them, often killing them instantly. He was even able to redirect fired missiles and ballistics. With the use of telekinesis, he could with great effort change the direction of a falling Imperial 1 class Star Destroyer and force it to the ground. In addition, Merrick was also able to use this ability for fine manipulation, such as by dismantling and reassembling his lightsaber during meditation sessions. Merrick's telekinetic proficiencies was even great enough that when angered, he was capable of telekinetically overtaking Sidious, easily blasting him off his feet with a powerful Force wave and force pushing him against the ceiling of a dome before smashing him to the ground. Next at number 2 is Darth Revan. Revan, renowned as the Revanchist, dreaded as the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Revan, and hailed as a prodigal knight, was a human man who played pivotal roles as both Jedi and Sith across centuries of Old Republic conflicts including the Mandalorian Wars, Jedi Civil War, Great Galactic War, and the Revanite Crisis. Revan was the most powerful Jedi of his era. During the Mandalorian Wars, Revan was considered the Jedi Order's greatest champion. After becoming a Sith Lord, Revan's command of the Force grew as he studied the ancient practices of the dark side. Following his redemption, Revan was stronger than ever before. Now having a unique understanding of the Force, his mastery allowed himself to open up both sides of the Force simultaneously, summoning such power that he could then unleash the Force in its purest form. Even after 3 centuries of imprisonment and torture, Revan's dominance continued, only ever being truly rivaled by the Sith Emperor Vitiate. Revan was a master of telekinesis, utilizing the Force to manipulate the environment and thrash around enemies. Revan had been skilled in defensive applications of telekinesis, being capable of forming protective Force bubbles around himself on the Foundry. Along with established Force defenses and willpower, Revan had a great pain tolerance. His resistance to torment made Saul Karath believe that torturing him would be pointless, and surprised the former Sith headmaster Jorak Olm. And finally coming in at number 1 is none other than Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker was a Force-sensitive human male who helped defeat the Galactic Empire in the Galactic Civil War and helped found the New Republic as well as the New Jedi Order. Among other Force powers Luke had under his disposal, he was particularly skilled in mental manipulation. During the Eye of Palpatine incident, Luke subconsciously used his Force powers to overcome a particularly vicious form of brainwashing, able to easily siphon all the information he was seeking. Befitting his title as Grand Master, Luke also mastered Bathora, a rare and difficult Force power. While he was recreating the Jedi Order and searching for potential candidates, he walked on lava while still throbbing with the Force after defeating a fireworm living in the lava just moments before. Luke's performance impressed Gantoris so much that he decided to become Luke's apprentice. During the Kuela Crisis, Luke prepared himself for death in such a way that he could become a Force ghost, showing that he could utilize such a rare and potent skill. In the years before the Yuzong Vong War, Luke also trained to overcome the Force blindness caused by Salamari. By 45 ABY, Luke had a great resilience in the Force duels, able to break a powerful Force grip on his neck and take a full blast of Force lightning to the torso. Upon his death, Luke was able to retain his consciousness in the netherworld of the Force and could henceforth manifest himself in the spirit form. If you guys like this video, check out these ones here. May the Force be with you.